Welcome, everybody, to the Valentine edition of There's Something Here, and I like to dedicate this one to my Valentine, Kevin Shalin.
Oh.
This is the cover of Soiree, or the pages of Soiree.
Oh, gosh.
Kevin Shalin.
They're not getting it.
There it is.
Kevin Shalin.
Oh, my gosh.
My Valentine.
Oh, there it is.
I took my Valentine to Batesville,
Yeah.
America's best hometown, sincerely. Great town. If you've never been to Batesville, you need to go. There's a lot there, outdoor activity, good flea markets, good libraries, lots of good things to do, and good food as well. And more than that, both good friends, old friends, and new friends. So join us as we travel to Batesville. We promise you there's something here. Kevin, do you know how long I've waited?
I forgot about
You had that locked and loaded.
Yeah, he did.
I put it under the magazines. That's why I wanted the book to be gone so I could pull it out.
It all makes sense now.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, dedicated to my Valentine.
As soon as I opened that magazine a couple weeks ago and saw that, I'm like, I'm going to get a text from John. And like literally a minute later, I got a text from you.
Yeah. No, it's sincere. Really, though, it is a good picture. It's a great picture of you. I like the pose. I like the jacket. You got a little pocket square as well.
You know,
it's nice.
trying my
Wait,
best.
show us again, John. Put it in the camera there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ooh.
See the
I
pocket
like
square?
the power lean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the power lean.
The
That's
purposeful look away.
Yeah.
You like that?
There's another picture as well.
Yeah.
I'll take up the entire episode showing
Yeah.
pictures of Kevin.
Another.
But there's another one in here, too. Oh, look at this. This one is
Casual.
Ooh.
Casual.
Here, pull it back a little bit. It's out of focus.
I had to
Hang
do.
on. Ooh, that's it. I can see it.
I had to do a wardrobe change.
yeah. I
We
could tell-
shot
yeah.
that at BCW, and I had to do casual. I'm wearing the same jacket right now.
Same
Look at
jacket.
me.
Oh my goodness!
only-
Look at that.
I think that's how you know when you've made it, is when you have a wardrobe change photo shoot.
Yes.
Yeah. that
Not
was-
just
Yes.
photo shoot, wardrobe change.
Yeah.
Right.
Wardrobe change.
Well, you know, Kevin, we've taken a little bit of time off. We did our live episode at the winter conference. We're getting back from Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. Legislative session has started, which has kept me pretty busy. And I know you're in the middle of. I think you're planning another fundraiser, new festival, right?
Yeah, we got Soup Sunday coming up in a few weeks, and co-chairing that. I'm really excited about it. We're trying to raise a lot of money for it to help Arkansas advocates for children and families. So, yeah, very busy right now.
Good. Well, I wish you well with that. If it's anything like the Cornbread Festival, I know it's going to be very good. And sincerely,
Yeah, I
you do a
appreciate
great job with that.
Thanks.
You made a point as you were ignoring me earlier on your phone that you were in a fully immersive chairperson of
Yeah.
an event.
I'm in the zone right now. I don't just put my name on something. You know, I'm an active chairperson. Want to raise as much money as possible, and it takes a little time and effort. But I'm glad to do it, and I'm excited. So
Good.
But I'm also excited to take a little break and do another one of our episodes together.
So we were thinking about this as how to sort of ease back into it since we've, the holidays. And we thought, you know what, let's go to Batesville because Batesville is close to Cave City and our good friends Jonas Anderson. And the mayor of Batesville is a dear friend of mine, Rick Ellenbaugh, one of the better people I've ever known in my life. And I was really excited for you to meet him. And we were able to, of course, meet Jonas there. And like I said in the intro, meet some good old friends and make some new good friends as well. And so you've been to Batesville before, but this is your first time really deep into Batesville, right?
Yeah, just kind of passing through. I guess the one or two times, I was definitely passing through, and one of them was with you when we were coming back through from Cave City. And but I've been excited from a food standpoint. That's what I'm about, to check it out because there's a lot of really cool food stops along the way in Batesville, and one of them we did together. On our first podcast episode with Cave City, when we were coming back, we stopped at Mimi's Burgery, a food truck, right on the main drag there as you're going through town. And for my money, I think it's the best burger and fry combo in the state, or at least the best that I've come across. And I kind of think you agree. It's our second time having it after this Saturday, this past Saturday. And so yeah, I was excited to check out Batesville from a food standpoint.
Well, I want to talk about Jonas, who we met there first, because we talk about Jonas a lot because he's the rock and roll star, rock and roll man, a keyboardist for the band Kingsdown. But I want to talk about the drive a little bit because to get from Batesville from Little Rock, it's just down 67, then take a left on 167, and you're in Batesville. And it's a very easy shot, very straight through.
We found a live mouse.
Mickey Mouse, yes, yeah. So we drive into Batesville, and on the side of the road, right when we're getting to Batesville proper, there is a Mickey Mouse selling the wares of I think the mayor said a carpet store, maybe, or
Yeah.
flooring store.
Yeah, he was kind of jumping around out there, and it was a good start to our day.
Yeah,
It was fun. Anytime these are little tidbits, little stories
right.
that we like to share with our podcast listeners. So
Yeah.
it was a good start, I thought.
I thought so too. I
Yeah.
agree. And then we met Jonas.
Yeah.
And Jonas was there at Morningside Coffee.
Yep.
Morningside Coffee, which we'll talk about in just a second. But when Jonas was there, we saw him. We knew he was there because of the vintage car he has.
Yeah, he showed us that vintage car on our first episode, and he, it was just cool pulling up and seeing it. And he joined us for coffee there, and we hung out a little bit and shot the breeze, and it was fun. And what was cool is we kind of invited him to spend the rest of the day with us, and he obliged.
He did.
Yeah.
And the thing about Cave City is it's right there next to Batesville. And I kind of equate Cave City to Batesville as Conway is to Little Rock. And I grew up in Conway. So if you were to ask me what I knew about Little Rock, it's a lot because I went there pretty much every weekend. My mom worked in Little Rock. And to be there with Jonas the entire time, it felt the same way, that he was sort of enmeshed in Batesville. And so he could add his own tidbits about, I went here as a kid, or I worked there as a kid, or whatever it may be. But Morningside Coffee, I'd never been there. It's right there on the way to downtown, right? I think 2 blocks off of Harrison.
Yeah.
You had heard about it before. I'd not heard about it before.
Yeah, I did a little research. As I tend to do, I asked for opinions before we go to any of these towns, and that name kept coming up. We've talked about it before. Our desire to really lean into coffee shops in these small towns that we visit, and it was a perfect spot to stop. It was quiet because we got there late in the late morning, I think, and so it was an ideal time. It was quiet, and the three of us got to hang out and talk and catch up, and coffee was great. I think that place had been around about 20 years.
Really?
So yeah, in that location, 18. The barista told me they were in another location, so it was like 20, 21 years. So that's quite a run for a coffee shop in Batesville, Arkansas.
So it reminded me of Drifters, going back to Cave City. Drifters has this spot, the coffee shop in Cave City, that you can sit there in this sort of room that's next to the main part of the coffee shop, and that's where the drive-through is too.
Yeah.
So I was having people serve right behind us, which I found that's like home to me now.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. The guy would just kind of open the living room window and take coffee, and we felt like cool breeze shoot in. And it was kind of nice. I liked it.
Yeah, it really felt like, and having Jonas there was just like home. And that's really when I settled into this. We're going to have an easy trip. It's going to be with an old friend. And it really was. The rest of the day was really super easy. Now, I have a question for you, though. When you do these research missions, because I've seen your Facebook posts, you say, I'm going to Batesville or I'm going to wherever, and we can't go to each one of the places. What were the places, and we'll talk about some of them I know, but what were the places that you heard about in Batesville?
The one that really stood out, and it's one that I've been wanting to go to for a long time, is Natalie's, which is right in the heart of the town, and unfortunately they were not open. They're not open on Saturday, so that eliminated them. There was another one that we walked by called Stella's Pizza, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That was one I've been wanting to go to, and there was a fish shop that the name is escaping me. That is kind of sounded like the old standby where people just kind of embraced by the town. But we didn't get a chance to do that because we just run out of time. One of the reasons we go to bakeries and coffee shops is they're easy and they're quick, and we're able to check things off our list quickly, which is great. But it's hard to pop in and out of a sit-down restaurant quickly. So we try to marry the two careers of what we do, and when you're there for an afternoon, you inevitably run out of time, and you can't hit everything you want to.
Right. And that's a larger point I was trying to make too, is that if you ask Facebook about where to go in Mena, Batesville, Jonesboro, wherever it is, you're going to get 3 times, 4 times, 5, 10 times as many places that you could go, but you can't go to because it's of time restraint. So there's always something here, even beyond what we're talking about today.
Yeah, and it gives us something to do the next time. We've talked about this extensively. This is a long-term project for us, and we want to go back to a lot of these towns that we've visited before, and to have some things that you can do, some new places to go. It adds. It's an incentive to go back,
right?
And so I really enjoy that, and it's also incentive. Like if you and I are doing something independently, we can go and check these places out,
right.
and report back.
Ben, you've been to Batesville multiple times. If you were asked on Facebook, you saw the Mighty Ribs comment, where to go in Batesville, what's your answer going to be?
Yeah, I went up to Batesville. I didn't get enough time to like really dig in and do restaurants and things like that. But some of those definitely piqued my interest. I'm trying to pull up one off the top of my head. When I went, my main takeaway I went up to Batesville was I was interviewing Mayor Ellenbaugh. He was a president or something for the league, and I was doing a story on him. And he was walking me around town, and this was my biggest takeaways, is that man needs to enter a speed walking contest. He has got to be one of the fastest non-running people I've ever seen. That's what's burning my brain the most. But man, that dude can walk fast.
That's good information right there, because we didn't get any of that. He was driving us around in his Hummer.
Yeah. Oh, the Hummer. We gotta get to that.
I sent Ben a picture. It should be popping up. Bing. Yeah, the Hummer picture, the electric Hummer.
It almost ran me over in Little Rock recently because seriously, I was walking in the Marriott awning in the front. And all of a sudden, there was a truck like a foot away from me that I did not hear coming. It was Mayor Ellenbaugh in his electric Hummer. The thing does not make any noise. He was not trying to run me over, by the way, and it wasn't a foot away. But that thing is so quiet and so smooth.
It was very smooth. And, yeah, we had a fun time getting a showcase of the town and that. But before we met the mayor, you and I and Jonas, we walked around downtown. And we had a blast, I thought. And we went into a lot of different stores, and we visited the library. That's it's kind of a world-class library in Batesville, and we had a good time doing that. And we also went to a vintage antique mall.
Yeah. So we went to the antique mall. We walked around it. And by the way, speaking of Mayor Ellenbaugh and the walking, he has these Cole Haans that are kind of like tennis shoes, and I bought a pair just because of him, because he's a speed walker. And I wore those that day actually. But we're walking around, we go into the flea market. It's a very big flea market.
Yeah.
And Ben, you're going to love this story. I hope you do at least.
It's a great flea market.
It was fantastic. And we're making our way. It's like a maze through there. And all of a sudden we pop outside on Harrison Street, and we're not confronted, but there's two guys there. And one of them says to Mayor Anderson, who's there with us, Jonas, says, "That's not an exit."
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm outside of a building, so I feel like it's an exit.
Feels like an exit to me,
It is
boss.
now.
It is now. And then Jonas, he's so polite. He goes, "Well, do you want us to go back in?" And then Jonas does not walk back in. He just walks right outside.
We almost had an incident. I mean, they kind of felt like street toughs,
Yeah.
Like
these out-of-towners. They don't know where the exits are.
Yeah. Well, we left the building. We weren't having any of that.
Yeah, we're not. We did not go back. I'd have to maze my way back through it. I didn't leave a trail of breadcrumbs to get back, so I'm not finding my way out.
You're John Wilkerson. You don't have time.
That's right.
You don't have time for that.
That's right. No. I know people who own Hummers. For goodness sakes.
Yeah.
So we walk through and we go to the library. The library is really great. The library reminded me of the library in Pine Bluff, but my favorite part, because it had these staircase step things where you sat on and read and whatnot. But the best part was this room, and I got a picture of it. Ba-ding.
Yeah.
It's the Sarah Elizabeth Lowe bookstore inside the library. And I thought, I don't know who Sarah Elizabeth Lowe is. Apparently, she was a flight attendant on one of the planes on 9/11, and her parents she was from Batesville. She passed away, of course, during 9/11. And they dedicated this bookstore in the library to her. And I thought that's the kind of thing that we pick up on these trips that I never would have known about Batesville.
And Jonas knew that, right?
Jonas knew.
Yeah. So again, that kind of goes back to, it was interesting getting a tour of the town from a mayor that's not the mayor of that town, but he's the mayor of the town over. But he has, like you said, deep connections with Batesville. So we got that interesting perspective. And then we met the mayor of Batesville, which added to the day. But yeah, the library was great. It was in a historic building, but it was modernized, had a wonderful layout where it was very open. You walk in, you can pretty much see everything. And it was very impressive. I don't think either of us were expecting that in downtown Batesville, but it was a very impressive library.
It was. And after that, we keep walking down Harrison. I want to say it's Harrison. It's the main drag in Batesville. And we come up to Polk Bayou Outfitters. Now, question for you, Ben. This is Polk Bayou Outfitters, Poke. Later on, we're going to go to Polk. What is it? Polk Bayou Restaurant or
Polk and Paddle.
Polk and Paddle, Polk. So the question becomes, and this is a survey, I think, for their listeners, is it, and by the way, this is all based on the Bayou that is right there off Main Street or Harrison, Polk or Polk Bayou. That was the question of the entire day. Is it Poke or Polk? Is it named after Polk salad or the president, James K. Polk?
Yeah.
We don't know.
I guess
Neither did Jonas.
Am I supposed to cast my ballot here?
Yes.
Okay, so Poke makes me think of like Stillwater, Oklahoma Cowboys. That makes me think because the Pokes, go Poke.
Okay.
Is something that is so.
Didn't think about that.
I want to say Polk.
Me too.
For me.
That's my vote.
Okay.
Polk.
The president.
Polk, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that settles it. All right.
And that
Good
was-
episode.
Well, all right. That's it.
And we're done. Yeah, that's it for that. But going back to Polk, I mean, we can kind of transition into the eating part a little bit, right? Like, because, I mean,
Yeah.
right next to the Polk Outfitters was the Polk and Paddle, and that was a place that it's relatively new, and but it's been on my radar. I was very excited about checking that out, and it really lived up to the hype, I thought. Very interesting. It's in a dry county, but it's technically a club, so you walk in, you sign a pad, and so that makes it the kind of club feature. And they have their own beer that is brewed at Lyon College, which that is so cool to me. And this place right on right off Harrison Street, it's small, but it's real cozy and comfortable. And they do their menu is I thought it was excellent. We had a banh mi sandwich. We had what were those fried mac balls?
The fried mac and cheese balls.
Yeah, those were good.
Yeah,
We
that
had
charcuterie board.
charcuterie board was really good. Everything was spot on, and the service was very friendly. And if you like to travel the state and you're looking for a place that's a little different than what you might expect, that's also still fairly new. I don't think they've been open for over a year. Polk and Paddle is a really cool spot, and I think they also do some music. There was a small stage in the front. So very cozy spot. I really liked it. I want to go back, and top-notch service as well.
I keep saying Harrison Street, by the way. Just double-checked. It is Main Street that we've been talking about with Stella's and the library and the flea market, and Polk and Paddle is right off Main Street.
Okay.
The best part about what I liked about Polk and Paddle was the homemade egg rolls.
Yes.
And I think the owner's family is from Vietnam, and the egg rolls were made, and she was proud of this, that they were her mother's recipes.
Yeah.
And mother's recipe, and it tasted like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. To me, they leaned more towards like that spring roll wrapper, that thin wrapper, rather than your egg roll wrapper. But whatever you want to call them, they were great because that filling was made from scratch. And you can certainly tell a difference when you eat an egg roll or a spring roll that is made from scratch. It's not some pre-made thing that you always kind of worry about in Arkansas, and because very, very few places do these things from scratch like that. And boy, that started the meal off right when you get something like that. We kind of had a feeling they'd be from scratch because she was kind of talking them up because she was also our server. But man, I really liked those. We even got an order. I think Jonas got an order to go. They were so good.
Have you ever been to Polk and Paddle, Ben?
No. I now I'm gonna go.
You would dig it.
I just looked him up on Facebook, and I was like, I need to go there.
The size of the place is the best. To me, the best part. It was big enough to house enough people. But it was small enough that even if you got five, I'll say 7 or 8 people in there, it feels like, oh, you're part of something.
Yeah.
There's a Dolly Parton, painting on the wall. It just had some nice flair to it, and it wasn't just like stuff you got at Hobby Lobby and just threw up there. It was obviously curated to some degree, and I really appreciade it.
Kind of had a tavern feel to
Tavern.
it. Yeah. Very. I keep using the word cozy, but it was like I felt comfortable there. And any place that is getting their beer made at a local college, I think that's such a cool story.
Right.
Yeah. So, boy, what a nice, between that and Mimi's, we were talking about when we were coming home that day, like, boy, two of our better eating experiences in our adventures so far throughout this state,
Yeah.
back to back like that was very impressive. And again, like we were just talking about, there's still so many other places in this relatively small town, and that's something I kind of wanted to address too. Like, for someone like me who has not spent much time in Batesville up until that day, like, I thought the town was a lot bigger than I was anticipating. You know, I think there's close to 12,000 people that live there, but the surrounding area, the surrounding communities, there's a big population and a lot of various companies that reside in Batesville.
You know, Skip Rutherford, I had breakfast with, part of a group, and he was there, and he's from Batesville, and he calls it, and the mayor mentioned this as well, Skip Rutherford calls it America's best hometown. And I can see why. I mean, Batesville's I've gone to Batesville for 30 years. I've always liked Batesville. And then going with you, and I've been there a lot. I know the town very well. But going there with you and having the mayor show us around, I realized that 12,000 people, it feels bigger because it has everything that you need. I mean, I'm not talking just a McDonald's and a Sonic and a Walmart, Home Depot, other shopping, a big hospital, multiple banks of like gargantuan size, a bakery, a chicken processing plant, bad boy motors. I mean, just industry abounds around there. And then baseball fields and soccer complexes. They even have a rodeo back in the back. And I look at Batesville now and I'm thinking it is just an absolute regional hub for that north central kind of off to the east area. And I had a newfound respect for the city.
Yeah, it seemed like it was thriving. You know, not every town that we go to I would label as thriving. Some of them are somewhat depressed, but it's always nice when you go to a place that seems like it's doing well, and we can see it with our own eyes when we get these tours. And it's interesting, like, you know, you said you've been to Batesville many times throughout your life, and like when you get a tour like that from a mayor of a town over and the actual mayor of Batesville, do you feel like it's like a totally different perspective, and are you learning a lot of new things that you've never seen before?
Yeah, it like everywhere they took me, I'm like, I've seen this before. I knew Bad Boy Motors was there. I knew this was there and that was there. But then to have them, it was Jonas and Mary Ellenbaugh the whole time, to have them sort of walk through what's happening and what's going to happen and the history of this and that, it was a newer and deeper level and appreciation for the city, like I said. And it was really, really nice. And then you just realize that these cities that we're we're lucky to visit, but people live here. And I see why a lot of people would love to live in Batesville. I mean, it's a great city.
Yeah, you know, when we do these tours, we have a lot of things planned out, so we kind of know what we're getting ourselves into. But for me, the most joy comes when we're just stumbling around and we see things that you just don't expect.
Right.
And that day, we're driving through a neighborhood, and the mayor's like,
oh my goodness,
look at that house over there. You see that? There's a guy that lives there. That's a planetarium in his backyard. There was a literal planetarium in someone's backyard in Batesville, Arkansas. I mean, like, to me, that's why we do this, right?
Yes.
I mean, you can talk about rivers and corporations and, you know, sites and all this, but like when you're driving and you look to the left and you see a tiny planetarium in someone's backyard, that's why we do this.
In a neighborhood. It wasn't like it was just this on an acre of land out in the middle of, you know, rural part of the city. It was like in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Mayor Ellenbaugh, I remember I was like, Mayor, is that a planetarium? And he's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. And I thought, okay. I mean, it was just like part of the fabric of the city.
We didn't even stop. We just kept going. I'm like, I feel like that was stop worthy, right?
I was really hoping the mayor would say, well, Tim may be in. Let's go and check it out.
Yeah.
Can I see the Milky Way today?
Yeah, but just pop into the neighborhood planetarium. You know, you never know. That's what's great about this thing. I mean it. Like, you can plan all this stuff out, but it's these little gems, these nuggets that you just happen upon, and it really makes the day for me.
It really is. It's just such. I mean, we're blessed to be be able to do this. Blessed to live in a beautiful state that really has so many little nooks and crannies to it. I'm sure every state does, but to be able to explore those nooks and crannies has been really, really special. And we saw the planetarium, by the way, on the way to Lyon College, which I had never been to the campus of Lyon College. Ben, have you been to the campus of Lyon College?
I haven't. No.
Well, that makes all of us. Well, until last week, but it's a small, I think Methodist maybe, liberal arts school up there, and I think 1,000 students maybe.
Pretty campus.
Now, the mayor did graduate from Lyon College.
Yes.
Now, he got 99% of his credits from ASU, but he got his last 2 credits at Lyon, so he's a Lyon graduate.
Alum.
Counts.
Yeah.
But the story about Lyon College, or the story that he told us about Lyon College, is about the U of A. And I hear these Arkansas stories a lot. These almost was stories.
Yeah.
And apparently, and I didn't know the details of it, but apparently somebody showed up on a horse and carriage and said, we want to put the University of Arkansas here, but the city didn't want to pay the $5,000 or whatever it was. So they took a train to Fayetteville, and Fayetteville said, we'll give you $20,000. And then they took a train somewhere and sold the horses somewhere. And I don't know exactly what was going on, but
Yeah.
it was almost the University of Arkansas. And I see why. It's nestled up there in the mountains, kind of like Fayetteville is.
It seems like we have a lot of those stories in Arkansas. The Walmart potentially, could have been in Newport, right? You could have had FedEx in Little Rock,
Yep.
and what could have been, and yeah, I guess we get to see a lot of this firsthand, and to get that perspective from the current mayor, who again, I just love getting these tours from mayors, because all the mayors are very different personalities. They all take a tremendous amount of pride in their town, and we're asking them to showcase their town, in an hour or two, basically. And it's not easy, because a lot of them want to keep going, and
Yes.
he wanted to keep going. He did not want the day to end, and he wanted to keep showing us things. He showed us more restaurants right before we left, and it's always nice when you see that pride, because we've all been in that position where we want to show off something. When people come into Little Rock, I love showing them the food scene here. I know it's not like Chicago or Dallas or Boston or those places, but I'm proud of it. And you get that same sentiment when you go to these smaller towns, and you are fortunate enough to have the mayor show you around, and they're really proud of what's going on, and it's nice to see it.
So, Ben, you know Mayor Ellenbaugh pretty well, right?
Yeah. I spent some time with him. Spent a day with him.
I don't even have to worry about you saying something positive. I'm just going to ask you what I know you do. You think positive of him. What do you think about Mayor Ellenbaugh?
He's great. He's so high energy. Like I said before, like he is something. I remember the story we were talking about when I went up there. It was during COVID. It was just coming out of COVID when I went up there and interviewed him. And he told me that, during COVID, everyone's kind of shuttered in their homes. And he made a goal that he was going to walk every street in Batesville.
Yes.
He told us that.
Yes.
And he did. And so I had to, it's like, that's where his walking speed came from, because he had a lot of ground to cover. But, that just goes to show you the kind of mayor he is. He wants to get out there into the community. He's I always feel like he's got something to do. He's wanting to get to the next thing, to keep moving and to keep pushing his town forward. And it really shows.
What I liked about him in particular, and he's been a fantastic person for my entire time at the Municipal League, is that most, if not maybe all, of the mayors that we've visited have been relatively new mayors.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all super excited. They're super ready to show off everything they did, just high energy. And I thought, we're going to go see Mayor Ellenbaugh, and he's a high energy guy, right? We knew that. But I thought, he's going to show us the town, and, John, this is great. Kevin, this is great. But he had that same, I'm excited to show off my city.
Yeah.
In every corner that we went around, he was like, John, Kevin, look at this. Let me tell you the story about this. And he was so excited. And what I know your food, right? I'm too. But to watch him talk about the new physical plant for the street department, which I took pictures of, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. He's like, this is what we did. We're going to do this. We're going to add another bay in the back. We're going to build another big building. It's $5 million or whatever the number was. And we're going to do it. And I thought, that is so cool to me to see someone who has done it for a long time, but still had that same high energy. And that is great for him and me and you and us to know him, but it's really great for the citizens of Batesville.
Yeah, and you walk down Main Street, things are full, and they're building too. We walked into that, and I think we got a picture from Ben that's going to pop up. But we went into this huge, gutted out space that they're going to build this pretty big Cajun restaurant, and so that's exciting. And there's just not a lot of empty things there. It seems like it's thriving to me.
And the thing, Ben was there, I think, for the old Malco Theater that's on Main Street. They had redone it, and we were there a year and a half ago or so, and they redone this old theater. And there's a Melba and a Malco. I think it's a Malco. Jonas could correct me in there. And we saw Back to the Future, which, by the way, folks, if you haven't seen Back to the Future in 30 years, rewatch it. It is just as good as it was 30 years
Really?
ago. It is so good.
Stands the test of
Oh,
time.
absolutely. Yeah. You don't have to go back in time
That's
to
right.
appreciate
That's
that
right.
one.
That's right.
Where's the...
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Wait
Not
for
too
it.
late.
No, it's coming.
Wait.
There.
There we go.
Hey.
Not bad.
Thanks, Doc
Stands the
Brown.
test
Yeah.
of time. Buddy.
So, but you got the theater down there. There's an Airbnb down there. Remember that pocket park that was behind?
Yeah, there's a lot there, and it's an hour and a half from Little Rock, and I've been wanting to spend like a weekend there because I had done a little research. They've got these really beautiful Airbnbs in downtown. Like I said, it's close enough where you can get there easily, but it's far enough where you feel like you're taking a little trip. And I really believe, like, if you're living in Little Rock, you want an inexpensive, quick little getaway. Batesville is a good option, and
Yes.
a big part of that has to do with some of this food we're talking about.
Yes.
There's a lot of good options there, bakeries and coffee shops, and this Polk and Paddle and the Mimi's Burgery and Natalie's and Stella's, all these places. And like I said, I want to go back and check more of them out.
Hey, Ben, when you think of Batesville, do you think of Batesville as an outdoorsy town?
Yeah, I always, I would pass it a lot coming in, especially how I used to come into it because it's on the White River.
Right.
I normally pass through it when I'm going to do some kind of outdoorsy thing. Depending on what route you go, if you're going to the Buffalo, you can make a pit stop through there. So yeah, I think so.
Okay,
it comes off to me.
I never thought about it like that. I mean, I knew it was up in the mountains or the hills a little bit, but I didn't realize how outdoorsy it was. And they're really leaning into that. And that's one thing that I didn't know about, Batesville, and what I'll highlight today is that Polk Bayou. We agree, Polk Bayou. When the water's right, you can canoe down it, and there's a canoeing community there.
Yeah.
And then there's a creek that I wish I remember the name of it that runs sort of through the town as well, and another canoeing spot. And they're building a canoe launch pad or whatever it's called up on the creek as well, underneath one of the bridges. And they're really leaning into that outdoor feel. And they're actually, if you go north of town towards Cave City, they're clearing off this area for a nature preserve.
That's right.
And that was really cool.
Yeah, nature preserve. They got huge soccer fields for soccer tournaments. There's a big baseball complex. That aquatic center that we drove. I mean,
yeah.
they're really leaning into this stuff, and it kind of falls under that umbrella of like this town seems to be thriving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The one thing about little history tidbit back to Camden, big Civil War town. We were talking to the mayor, and he said that they were clearing out that area for the nature preserve, and they found a rock that had been carved in by, I forgot the name. I think it was a Confederate soldier that carved in something in 1864. And they were going to, protect that rock, of course, and have it highlighted. But I thought it was kind of a neat, just something that you find just out in the river bottoms in Batesville is a carved rock from 1864.
And technically, Batesville is now the oldest town in the state, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I was looking up history of it right now. It's laid out in 1821 is when it was. They said it was it. So it's their claim to fame when you come in. They say the oldest city in Arkansas. So it holds up. We've
talked about Mimi's Burgers. I'm going to get to it one more time because that's where we ended up. Oh, actually, before we do though, there's a couple places we were trying to go to one place, but they weren't open on Saturdays that you were excited to go to, which was the Crumbs Up.
Yeah, we were a little disappointed in that a bakery be closed on Saturday. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know, but it seems like an ideal time to go to a bakery. So I'd heard a lot about that place. I was disappointed I didn't get a chance to go. We'll have to do that next time around if we're there on a non-Saturday. But yeah, and then we went to another bakery called the Butter Stick. We popped in, got a cupcake, couple cookies. You loved the aesthetics of that place, right?
I did. They had these like birthday cake confetti floors, which is really cool. But the best part is that anytime you get to see a baby, it's like, okay, this is a good day. And it was kind of a family affair. They had this sort of almost like daycare center in the corner. I'm sure it's the owner's kids. And you had this like 12-year-old girl holding this, 8-month-old baby. And it was just the cutest thing.
Well, you made me think about something just now, Ben. We were going to miss the best part of the day. Not going to talk about it. So early on the day, John thought he was a bad boy. I'll go with the motor, the company. But he kind of swerved into a parking lot and missed, what would you call that? Like
like one of those parking blocks,
Yeah.
and then the curb, and it was like I had no room for error.
Yeah,
I
and he's
went
like,
right through it.
That's the way you do it. He was
Yeah.
feeling all cool.
And then I did it again to show you it wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
I am that good of a driver.
And then after our tour of Main Street, we get back in the car, and why don't you take it away, John?
Okay, so they've turned Main Street from a 2-lane road to a 1-lane road where half of it's parking. Good for them. Love it. I was back, and it's funny, we're talking about this, that Jonas had said, well, some of the old timers didn't like the change because it, messed up whatever. I was like, oh yeah, I know, whatever. This is great. So I'm backing up, and as I'm backing up, somebody behind me is trying to parallel park on the street. So I'm a little discombobulated. So I back up, I hit the curb. I'm like, I'm just going to go for it. I hit the curb. I go into the middle of the curb. I have to get then out of the curb, so it's ka-dunk, ka-dunk,
The
ka-dunk.
car is just rocking
Yeah.
and shaking. And now he's got an audience. There's like people, pedestrians.
Yeah, then I try to go forward, and then I hit it again. And then as I'm getting myself situated, I look to my left, and there's this guy with his wife just looking at me, smiling. And all I could do is say,
Yeah.
and I drove on.
That's how you do it.
Yes.
It knocked him down
There you
a
go,
few
Mark
pegs.
Martin.
I
Yeah.
mean, he was so confident an
Yeah.
hour earlier. So confident. And
Right.
just completely embarrassed. I was enjoying every second of
Yeah.
it.
Well, there's not much worse than parallel parking with an audience, and then
Yeah.
so I'm sure the parallel parker really appreciated you just taking the show over.
Well, in my defense, she or he was having trouble parallel parking. That's what I wanted to say.
That's
I
what
was
you did.
distracted
You were
by
trying to
this.
help him
Yeah.
out.
You know who never has trouble parallel parking?
Who's that?
Me.
Really?
I
You're just like,
am one of the best you will ever meet. I'm not going to say, I don't want to brag, but I lived a year in Boston. Sorry, you're going to.
I can parallel park. I just can't pull out of parking spots
Yeah.
apparently. Without hitting the
No,
curb.
you cannot.
But we get into the car with the mayor literally 5 minutes later, and I said, Mayor, bad idea to redo the streets.
Man, there's something wrong with the streets,
Those old-
man.
Those old timers are right.
Yeah.
So the last place, I got to go back to Mimi's. Mimi's, I tell you, I've been there one other time, and my wife was there coming out of the Watermelon Festival at Cave City, and we stopped there, and it was raining, and I go out and get the burger, bring it back into the car, and we eat it, and a chicken sandwich, and fries. And my wife and I get out of the car in the rain just to go tell them that this is the best burger in the state of Arkansas. And I firmly believe that that's still the case. It is a tremendous burger. It is a food truck right off the main highway 167. And, well, you've been there a couple of times and this time.
Yeah, and we have a connection to the owners, I believe, are from Houston. And so I'm from Houston, so there's a nice connection there. But like you said, I mean, it's just a fantastic burger, and I've gone. I feel like a lot of places in the state, it can go against anyone's, and not just the burger, but the fries. I love when places like that take pride in making fries. They just don't throw them in the fryer, and that's that. You got to double fry those things, and there's a process, and they do it, and the combination is so good. Jonas was adamant that we try this chicken sandwich. He was right. So it's like 3 grown men. There's not even a place to sit. We had to go to that coffee shop that's right next to it, and we're kind of cold, and it's wet out there, and we were just having the time of our lives.
It was great. And yeah, so when you say food truck, you think, well, I got to get it and eat in my car. But you can go literally right like 2 steps, and then you have the tea and coffee shop, which sells boba tea or coffee, water. And so it's just nice to be there, and you're in the middle of Batesville, and you just feel like you can feel the energy of the town right there in the center of it.
Yeah, and the owners of Mimi's, I love when restaurant owners recommend other restaurants. I just love it because it's rare, and we got to chatting with them, and one of the last things they said to me is like, I know you're kind of touring the town. You need to go over here to this food truck. And while we weren't able to do it, I just really appreciate that. And of course, I'm filing it in my memory bank for next time. But gosh, I wish more places did that, because they are the ones who know. They know good food. They live there. To get recommendations from them is truly important, and I appreciate that. And I love the camaraderie. It's about a food community, and I wish that was more prevalent, and unfortunately it's not. But boy, they really stepped up. Really nice people, and you just can't beat the experience we had. I don't think the 3 of us won't forget it.
Ben, we're taking you to Mimi's Burgers next time.
I have to go.
It's fantastic.
I need it. I need it.
Yep.
Well, everyone, that's our Valentine's Day edition to My Valentine. Thank you for being here, Kevin. Ben, You're my Valentine too. Thank you for producing this. Everybody get to Batesville. The main street's great. Stella's is great. Mimi's is great. It's all great there. We promise you there's something there in Batesville. Take care, everybody.